Well, rumour has it that Campagnolo is designing a new wireless system, and whilst they're designing that wireless system, they're going to change the incremental changes to the system. So the buttons or the things that you push are going to change the incrementation of the rear chain over the cassette. Now, this is kind of very controversial because a lot of Campagnolo riders, including me, like that system. They like that one button operation system. And when you push that button down, there's just some satisfaction. You're pushing it down and it's changing up. Pushing it down, it's changing up. And it's just something you really like. And because it has that clunk system, the Campagnolo, it kind of gives you this really nice feedback. So that is one of the reasons why people actually ride Campagnolo, or one of the reasons why I like riding Campagnolo, because I like it that the lever down the bottom only makes it go to an easy gear, and the button on the top only makes it go to a hard gear, and they're separate. And people say, yeah, but when you're on the drops, you can't reach it, but you can. You can actually just put your thumb up and just press it. So it's just a different technique you need to use when you're riding the bike. But Campagnolo, from some of their patent rules, have shown that they may be changing this design on their new wireless Super Record. Well, Campagnolo are showing that they're going to a system where it's going to be very similar to the Shimano system, where they have like a swivel system. They have a top button and a bottom button. It's not quite clear how that's going to work because the drawings don't really indicate which way that they pivot. But what it basically is doing is it's all going to be on the brake lever. So there's not going to be any of that button that's on the inside, or the curved down button that used to be there for the electronic system, which was slightly different to the mechanical. But I've got the mechanical record, so I can show you what that looks like right here. And generally what it does is it has 5 positions that you can go to a harder gear in one go, and you can, like 3, you can go to when you go to an easier gear, but with the electric, you can just hold it down, it'll just drop the whole cassette. So that's the advantage of having the electronic system. But with this new wireless system, they're changing the whole interface, or the user interface that you have on your baristas, or ergo power as they call them in Campagnolo, and that's the button system. Now, I don't know, I'd have to probably try it. I don't know if I'd really like that. I don't know, I just like that whole big lever just does one thing and the whole other big lever does another thing, because you're going to have 2 buttons that are very close together and you could accidentally tap them or touch them. And I know this has been a problem with the Shimano, especially when you're using gloves. You've got gloves on your hand, it's very hard to feel that indexing. Shimano did do some work on that to try to cure that, but it was an issue. So it'll be interesting to see what Campagnolo actually come out with, and it'll be interesting to see if they will bring the electronic wireless system down to the lower tiers like the Record and the Chorus, because at the moment they do not have any electronic system, or they may bring the wired system down to the Chorus or to the Record and keep just the wireless one up at the Super Record and have wired ones at the other lower groups. Who knows? But hopefully they'll keep the rim brakes, and they will keep the mechanicals for some time. Now, if you've actually watched Hambini, he's done a video on this, and he's made the comment that electronic stuff is easier to make. And I've actually made that same comment, because when you're making things, all the mechanical mechanisms, actually, you wouldn't think so, but once you've developed the technology with all the chips and everything like that, those chips could be cents. They could be under $1 to buy that whole chip. It's not like as if you were having amplifiers that have to have really high spec ICs in there, integrated circuits, because you're just moving a derailleur. It just needs a trigger and to move it. It's not like as if you're using it where it needs to be really high spec transistors and so forth in there. So that little chip, once they've done the development and the cost of designing it, the cost to reproduce that will be very, very small. Now, yes, we're going to have some very, very high speed motors in there and actuators, but a lot of them are already used in the radio controlled market. So they'd probably be pretty easy to source as well. So I don't think the cost of making electronic systems would be more expensive, probably a lot cheaper. Okay, we've got the battery cost. That could be something that's a little bit expensive, but even still, they may cost $20 to $30 a battery for the manufacturers. I can see why Shimano has basically split their two systems. The Q system is all mechanical, and all of the top tier, like the 105 Ultegra Durace, is all electronic. So they've made that very specific distinction between those two models of group sets. And what else Shimano have done that's not to crash hot is that the pull ratio on these new Qs is actually quite different to all of their other group sets. So it's integratable with itself, but it's not integratable with any of their other models that they've got on the market. But getting back to Campagnolo, it'll be interesting to see how they come out. I might have to snapple a mechanical group set if they discontinue it before they actually sell out all of that model. But it'll be interesting what they do and where they offer the electronic group set, if it's just going to be at the Super Record like it is now, or they're going to offer it at the lower tiers, because the industry is pushing electronic systems, and all of the frames now, sorry, not all of them, but a lot of the frames are only electronic only. They don't even want to drill holes in them for the wires to go in. So it'll be interesting to see what Campagnolo does with this new group set. Well, anyway, guys, leave your comments down below. What do you think? What do you think Campagnolo is going to do? Do you think it's they're just going to do what they're doing at the moment, or they're going to change their model lineup as far as rim brake, electronic, and mechanical goes? Well, anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to leave it, and I'll see you next vid.